All right, let's jump right in. There's a huge disconnect happening in business right now. You've got brands talking a big game about being green, but their customers are turning around and saying, show me the proof. Now, this isn't just a simple PR hiccup. This gap between what you promise and what you can prove is a massive business risk, especially in a market that's exploding like Bangladesh.
Here it is. This is the number that should be keeping every single brand manager up at night, 52%. Right now, more than half of all consumers think organizations are just flat out greenwashing their sustainability efforts. Think about that. More than half of your audience starts from a place of, I don't believe you. And just look at how fast this is happening. This isn't some slow, gradual shift. It's an absolute explosion of skepticism. We've gone from 33% suspicion to 52% in just 1 year. Trust is eroding, and it's happening way faster than most companies can even react to. This is a full-blown credibility crisis.
So let's bring this home, right here to Bangladesh. We're not talking about some abstract global trend. We're talking about a 21.3 trillion taka consumer market. This is a direct threat to your bottom line, to your slice of the pie. In an economy this dynamic, can you really honestly afford to be on the wrong side of your customers' trust?
Because that's exactly what this is. It's a crisis of credibility, and honestly, the stakes could not be any higher. So let's really break down what's happening on the ground here.
So, what's fueling this whole thing? Well, it's all about demographics. Bangladesh is rocketing towards becoming a top 10 consumer market by 2030, and it's being driven by a population with a median age of just 24. And this generation, Gen Z, they just play by a different set of rules. A whopping 65% of them actively dig into where their products come from. They don't want to hear your green claims, they demand green proof.
Which brings us to a really important question. If all these companies are talking about sustainability, why are their messages failing so spectacularly? It's time to diagnose what's really going wrong.
And here's the heart of it. The problem isn't your flashy ad campaign or your clever tagline. It's the substance, or, the lack of it, behind what you're saying. Consumers today have a built-in BS detector, and they can feel when a story just doesn't have a solid foundation of truth. This slide really tells the whole story. On one hand, you have Bangladesh, where we've made these incredible leaps in infrastructure. 200 LEED certified factories? That's world class. But it's like we have all this amazing hardware, but we're missing the software, the authentic data-backed story. Now, compare that to India, where companies like ITC or Tata are turning their compliance into a real competitive advantage by building their entire marketing around demonstrated proof. And look, the numbers don't lie. Just see the difference here. A vague claim like eco-friendly packaging gets completely ignored. But when you get specific, like 33% less plastic, boom, you get 2.5 times more trust. Carbon neutral is just noise, but proving you've reduced emissions by 23%, that drives a 40% jump in the likelihood someone will actually buy your product. Specificity isn't just a detail. It's the engine that powers both trust and sales. So why does being specific work so well? Well, it's not magic. It's actually just behavioral science. There are these really clear psychological reasons why authentic, data-driven stories are so powerful at building trust. Okay, first up, authenticity. This triggers something in our brains called cognitive ease. See, our brains are kind of lazy. They prefer information that's easy to chew on. A vague promise is hard work. But a specific, concrete number, like Unilever Bangladesh saving exactly 1,174 tons of plastic, that's easy. It's verifiable. Your brain doesn't have to struggle with it, so it just defaults to trusting it. Next up is transparency, and this one is a bit counterintuitive. Brands always think they need to look perfect, but actually the opposite is true. When Patagonia launched their Footprint Chronicles and openly talked about the negative impacts of making their stuff, you know what happened? Customers didn't run away, they flocked to them. Admitting you're not perfect is maybe the most powerful way to prove that you're being honest. And finally, there's consistency. Think of this like compound interest for your credibility. Take a look at ITC in India. Their commitment isn't just some one-off campaign. It's baked into everything they do, from their eChupal network helping farmers to their carbon-positive reports. When people see this commitment over and over again in different ways, it just becomes easier to believe. The trust gets deeper and deeper over time. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem, we get the science behind it.
Now, what do we actually do about it? Let's walk through a clear, actionable framework for building the kind of credibility that actually moves the needle.
The secret here is to stop thinking like a marketer for a second and start thinking like an engineer. This isn't about a campaign. It's about building infrastructure. And there's a 7-step playbook. You start by auditing your actual impact. Then you set very specific, public, time-bound goals. You get them certified by an outside party. Then, and only then, do you start telling honest stories with real data. From there, you create content that educates, you get your community involved, and you report on everything, transparently. This is a long-term game, not a short-term stunt.
And listen, this is probably the single most important part of this whole thing. This framework completely flips the old marketing script on its head. Most brands come up with a message first and then scramble to find data to support it. That's a one-way ticket to greenwashing. The right way to do it is to get the proof first. Audit, measure, and verify everything before you say a single word to your customers. And when you do this, you can have radical results. I mean, remember when Patagonia ran that ad that said, "Don't buy this jacket"? It only worked because it was a brutally honest story backed by a proven, decades-long commitment to quality. It was shocking, it was authentic, and guess what? It led to a 30% jump in sales. Radical honesty, when it's backed by proof, really pays off. So what does this look like in the real world? We're talking about getting non-negotiable certifications like LEED or B Corp. It means building a live sustainability dashboard right on your website for everyone to see. It means shifting your content from 80% buy my stuff to 80% let me teach you something. And it means creating programs like take-back or repair services that show your commitment doesn't end the moment someone buys from you.
Now, before we finish up, we have to talk about the uncomfortable truths. Because, let's be real, building this kind of deep trust isn't easy, and there are some very real challenges and ethical knots here that we just can't gloss over.
And here's the biggest one for Bangladesh. Yeah, sustainability matters to people, but for 75% of consumers, putting their family's needs first is the top priority. This creates a really tough situation. Doing sustainability right often costs more, but how can you ask a customer to pay a premium when their main focus is just providing for their family? That's a hard question, and there's no easy answer.
And there's this other weird problem popping up. It's called green hushing. The fear of getting called out for not being 100% perfect is so high now that some companies that are actually making real, genuine progress are just staying silent about it. And that's dangerous because the pressure for perfection might actually be killing progress and transparency. So, at the end of the day, it comes down to a choice between two different risks. On one hand, yes, if you take action and you're transparent, you open yourself up to criticism. It's risky. But the risk of doing nothing, it's so much greater. We're talking a guaranteed loss of market share, the very real threat of lawsuits, and worst of all, just becoming completely irrelevant to a whole new generation of consumers. So let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. The trust deficit is real, and it's growing like crazy. The only way to fix it is with proof, not just promises. That means getting certified is no longer optional. It's just the price of admission. And while taking action has risks, the risk of doing nothing, of getting left behind, is way bigger. So I'll leave you with this. 3 simple questions for every single brand leader in Bangladesh to think about tonight. 1. Can you prove your claims with third-party data right now? 2. Does what your operations team knows to be true match the story your marketing team is telling? And 3, if a journalist started digging into your supply chain tomorrow, what would they find? If you hesitate for even a second on any of these, your next big project isn't a branding campaign, it's an audit. Because your customers are already asking these questions, and the market isn't waiting for your answer.